Hello and welcome to a very special video conversation on Awaz-e-Haqiqat, which translates to the voice of truth. I'm your host, Chris Malika Bhadra, and depending on whichever part of the world you're watching us from, as you can already see on our screen, I'm joined by someone very special. But before I introduce my guest to all of you, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I am coming to them from tonight. I come from the land of the Kulin Nation, and I would also like to pay my respect to the elders, past, present, and emerging. Now, as you've already seen on my screen, I am joined by Shekhar and Neelam Krishnamoorthy. Shekhar and Neelam Krishnamoorthy are buying agents and represent importers of garments from Europe. In the year 1997, they were in the middle of starting an editing studio, but due to the unfortunate Uphaar Film Studio tragedy, they shelved the project. They had to cut down on their business commitments as it involved a lot of traveling. Since 97, their priority has been to get justice for their children Unnati and Ujjwal, back then aged 17 and 13 years respectively, who unfortunately passed away in that fire tragedy. The reason for cutting down their business commitment was due to the fact that they had to be present in the court since various petitions were being listed in different courts and they did not want to depend on a public prosecutor. Both Shekhar and Neelam were actively involved in the criminal proceedings in the court and assisted the lawyers as well. They say that it has been a long legal battle. Their journey to get justice was full of obstacles, hindrances, uncertainties, and what felt like a never-ending struggle. It was not an easy task to take up a legal battle for which they were neither trained nor experienced. They were novices and had plunged into these shark-infested waters because their children, as well as the 57 other unfortunate people, were not destined to die that day. To them, it seemed that it was an incident of mass murder since all the rules that they had been violated. This battle was not only about getting justice for their children, but also to ensure that no other parents lose their children because owners and occupiers flout the fire safety measures to fill in their coffers and thus endanger common and precious lives. So this conversation and this battle is a tribute for their children. On that note, ma'am, sir, thank you so much for joining. It's an honor to be talking to you. Very good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much, Chris, for having us for your show.
The honor is all mine. Now, first things first is getting into the conversation. As I've already mentioned in the bio, you have been advocating for this unfortunate incident for years. In your opinion, now, when you look back and when you see today's time and world, what changes have now been incorporated when it comes to fire safety in commercial buildings?
Before I get into that, I think it's very important for me to tell your audience that what are the rules that were violated, what resulted in the Uphaar Fire Tragedy. Because unless they know that the incident, people just see it as a fire incident, but it's just not a fire incident. It could have been avoided. These lives could have been saved had the rules not been flouted. So first and foremost, I'd like to actually tell them what happened. See, the fire started in the transformers in the morning. It was repaired, but unfortunately, the repairs were improper. And when the matinee show was started, and just after the interval, when the fire started again in the transformer, there was a leak. The fin fell on the oil-based the tank. The oil leaked out. It caught the cars which were parked right outside the transformer room, which, as per the laws, they shouldn't have parked right outside the transformer. It's highly inflammable. So the fire originated from transformer, got on through the cars, and the smoke traveled up into the balcony.
Right.
There were a total of 1,000 audience in the cinema hall. There were 750 in the auditorium and 302 in the balcony.
Right.
And most important thing is only the people in the balcony were affected. Not a single casualty from the auditorium because they all had means of escape. They all walked out the moment the fire started. They came to know after some time because of the availability of the exits. But what had happened in the balcony was that number one, the fire started at 3:55. The movie kept on running despite the fire. The patrons were not informed. The public address system was non-functional. The mic was lying in another room and the amplifier was in another room. The gatekeeper, there was no announcement to tell the people, yes, there's been a fire, please make a line and get out of the hall in a very organized manner. The exit doors First of all, there was just one exit door for 3 and 2 people, which is contrary to the rules. As per the rule, there should have been one exit door per 100 people.
Right.
Why there was no exit is because the owners, the Ansal's, had blocked one of the exits by adding an additional 8-seater private box. They directed an 8-seater box instead of an exit door for the comfort of their own family. This was called the family box. The gangways, which you always have the aisles from where you take the aisles and they take you straight to the exit. The gangways were blocked by placing additional seats, which was again contrary to the rules.
Right.
And these were all, and the doors were bolted. Where, as per the rules, you're not supposed to bolt the doors when the cinema hall is when the cinema is running. The gatekeeper had locked the doors. He'd gone down to sell the tickets in black, being the first day. So, and all the fire extinguishers, there were no fire extinguishers. Actually, they were there just physically, but they were not non-functional. Either they had expired or they were empty. The emergency exit lights did not have a battery backup. So in case of a power failure, there was no way people could see which side are the doors and which is the exit available, and they go out from there. So all these things together, this is what caused this incident. Because after the fire started, the smoke entered the balcony, and there was a complete pandemonium in the balcony. People, started running helter-skelter. They tried to find an exit door, but they couldn't find one because people sitting on the right-hand side had to travel all the way left because there was just one door available, and it being dark inside. So that's where all the casualties happen. And most important thing, the owners had installed these extra seats with just one purpose. The rules were flouted to earn extra money. There's no other reason.
This was a finding of the Supreme Court.
And so I think that was the most important thing I wanted to tell, that why all these rules were broken to make extra money. So what has happened after Uphaar, because of our, constant legal battle and, also advocating for fire safety, there have been a lot of changes.
Right.
The fire safety measures are now being strictly complied with. Even especially when the new buildings are coming up, they're very strict about it. They don't give them the clearances, they don't give them the NOCs unless they're complied with.
Right.
And which is especially if any of you visit India, you'll find the shopping malls, which have all come up after 97. They all have emergency exits, they have fire safety measures in place. And not just emergency exits, they also have the other exits which are kept free, which is there in multiplexes, which is there in the hospitals and other high-rise buildings. So this is one important thing which has happened. And since it was an oil-based transformer which had got fire where the oil had leaked out. So after 97, the oil-based transformers have been phased out. There are no more oil-based transformers, they're all dry transformers that we have. And what added fuel to the fire that day was after the incident when people were brought out, when they had to be rushed to the hospitals. The hospitals, 2 major hospitals, one is Safdurjung Hospital and the other is AIIMS, which is just a kilometer away. There were no ambulances available to ferry the victims to the hospital. They had to be ferried in private vehicles because there was just one ambulance, because there was actually a scarcity of ambulances. And the hospital wasn't equipped to handle so many casualties. So what has happened after the incident, that now if you come to India, you'll find there's a fleet of ambulances, at least in Delhi NCR. We have a whole lot of them because we petitioned the High Court. We'd also petitioned the High Court that the need of the hour was to have a trauma center in place to deal with such emergencies. And it was one of our main prayers in our writ petition that we filed in the Delhi High Court. And the Delhi High Court directed the Union of India to come up with the trauma center in a stipulated period of time. We do have a trauma center in place. It is called Jayaprakash Narayan Trauma Center. And the funds were released. This trauma center is there. And I'm glad it's there because I think it's the first 1 hour, the golden period, which can actually help you to save a lot of lives. So yes, there have been changes. I would not say that there are no changes. And moreover, in our appeal that we filed in the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court itself directed the government to bring about certain changes. That is one was that every cinema hall must have an emergency evacuation plan in case of an incident, because here there was no plan. Because what the manager did was everybody ran away, leaving people at their own, and the manager was more interested in collecting his cash of the day and going out. So one is emergency evacuation plan. Then all the cinemas must show a documentary before the commencement of a cinema, which actually will show them what are the escape routes, emergency escape routes, the placement of the exits, and what are the other do's and don'ts in case of a hazard, a fire hazard. As you've seen, we've had a lot of, there is a change in the last 2 decades where how the cinemas are like. Now we have multiplexes. In 97, there were no rules for multiplexes. There was only, standalone cinemas. So they asked them to lay down rules for multiplexes. And most importantly, the licenses were earlier given by the licensing department, that is the police. So Supreme Court has come out with a suggestion saying there should be one single nodal agency, because what they used to do was they used to get an NOC from different departments, that is MCD, Delhi Fire Service, and the Delhi Vidyut Board, and the health department, and then give a NOC. So what had happened during the hearing of the writ was each department was passing on the buck to the other one. So there's no passing of the buck. It's a joint responsibility, and they were asked to give the NOC only by nodal agency. So these are the changes, and yes, things have improved, but not to what we would like. But yes, it's better than what it was 28 years back.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, but the thing is that this 28 years have been quite a difficult time for us. And like Neelam said, that we were novice. We didn't know anything about the law or anything about the legal battle in this country. And what we now come to the fact that it's the most difficult thing to get justice in this country. Though we have been fighting for 28 years, what actually the Ansals were punished for, 2 years. And that also after such a long battle, the only reason they gave was they're getting old and they have a lot of problems, health problems. So the courts also they're very magnanimous towards these rich people, That is a problem. And when you go to the court, nobody knows Neelam and Shekhar. They don't know who Unnati and Ujjwal are. But they know if a person is rich, that this man is rich. And what they and they have certain amount of they're very generous towards them. So it has been a very difficult fight for us because we are fighting, number one, a big builder lobby, number two, the government to bring in the law. I want to add what Neelam said. We also have advocated for bringing a new law to deal with man-made disaster.
Yes.
What happens in this country is that when there is a man-made disaster where hundreds of people die, what they say, bring them under 304A, that is Rash and Negligence Act. Maximum punishment 2 years, and the case goes on. So we went to the Law Commission of India, gave them a proposal that yes, this should not be brought on 304A, you have to lay down a new law. They accepted our proposal, and that they made a proposal to the government of India in 2012. And today we are in 2025. Nothing has been done. 24, sorry. So I'm sure the report given by the Law Commission is lying in some obscure corner of the ministry. Nobody knows what's happening. And we have to do much more, though we are a small, group of people, 28 families, And of course, Neelam is heading the association. She's the president of the association. And we have been fighting. We gave everything. And we were in our late 30s when this tragedy happened. We could have started another family. But this was a promise made to our children that we'll get them justice.
Yes.
Right. So we had to fight to get the perpetrators of the crime punished. But unfortunately, it has been a tough battle for us. Very tough battle for us. So it's still going on. I'm not saying there's still about 3-4 cases pending in the court. They tampered with the evidence when the trial was going on. That is going on. They were punished for 7 years. Again, like I told you, the district judge was very magnanimous towards them. They said, no, undergone because you're old, you're having health problems. So now we have gone to the High Court, and again, we'll go to the Supreme Court. There's a never-ending process, and it's a legal battle, it takes a long time, and people have to have a lot of patience and perseverance. And we gave up everything, like it was only a promise made to children, and we didn't look back. Though Neelam, there were so many cases going on so many times. I used to be in the High Court. She used to be in the district court. She was once, guerrilled by lawyers threatening her. And everything happens, everything we have to find, we have to face everything. And we only told them that if you want to kill us, you kill us. Because if till we are alive, we are not going to give up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's the thing, it's been quite tough for 28 years and still going on. It's 28 years. A case like this, which is according to me, is an open and shut case. It's an open. When Supreme Court themselves were saying that they had flouted all the rules and they did this for money. So where is the doubt? So this case is proved beyond reasonable doubt, despite the fact they have been let off so easily by paying a paltry sum. They say, okay, fine, you can go. This fight of ours was never for money.
Yeah.
This fight was for us, was to get justice for Nikki and Ujjwal and the other 57 people. That was the motto of the association. Let's work together for a safe India. And that's what we are doing. That's what we are saying, that we are still fighting to bring in the fire safety culture, which is not there. Nobody talks about fire safety in this country, I'm sorry to say. Even now, you'll be hearing in the news that so many people have died in this fire. So many people died. Everywhere, the reason is they have flouted the rules. There are no exits. Same, what has happened in Uphaar. There only one exit, one entry and one exit. Same thing goes on. It is never ending. But still we are trying. We're not giving up. We're still trying. We're still trying to bring in some culture from fire safety culture in this country. But yes, she said, it has improved, but there's a lot to be done.
Agreed. On that note, ma'am and sir, you formed the association, right? That association is the Association of the Victims of Uphaar Tragedy to raise, obviously, what you mentioned, awareness on fire safety, man-made disasters. So has this association and the related advocacy helped you in getting the laws amended or getting new laws, as sir was saying earlier? Ma'am, I'd like to start with you first.
Yeah, like Shekhar just told you, the first thing we started was because when we realized that the courts are just letting them walk off with just 304A, so we realized, all right, this is the biggest drawback we have, because they've only been charged with 304A, so they cannot be convicted with the higher sentence. So that's the reason why we thought there needs to be a special law to deal with it, and we called it prevention of man-made disaster. That's what we, advocated for. And so we put in a letter, we went and met the President of India, we met the Law Minister, and the recommendation was sent to the Law Commission of India that it needs to be prioritized. And we had a lot of meetings with the Law Commission of India. We cited what is happening in other countries and how they change laws when they meet with such incidents. And yes, which has been done, you're well aware, in other countries. And he was very much, in this agreement with us that what we're saying is right. And finally, the Law Commission did come out with a paper and suggesting that there needs to be a change. But unfortunately, like Shekhar tells you, which has been sent to the government, and it's probably lying somewhere collecting dust, and nothing really has been done. So as regard to, but yes, changes have been there only with regard to the fire safety measures and, the cinematographic rules with regard to the multiplexes. Like I told you earlier, that has been done. So some changes have been there, and at least people are getting more, aware of fire safety, because I think when people, talk about Uphaar Fire Tragedy, because there's not a single fire refers to Uphaar Fire Tragedy. And in fact, both me and Shekhar, we even authored a book called Trial by Fire, which was adapted into the web series. And because of those web series, I think a lot of people, especially the younger generation, who were not aware of a fire incident in Uphaar. And, they're suddenly getting very vigilant about fire safety. I mean, when the series was released, I was very surprised. I got the response on the Twitter and, telling me, ma'am, we went to the cinema hall and they clicked a picture saying these are exit doors, there's a big lock on it. What do we do? Kind of a reaction which the people are giving, which is very good, because unless there is public participation, you can't achieve anything.
Yes.
So I think one good thing that has happened is that the message has gone down the line. The people are realizing, yes, they don't want to endanger the life just because they want to watch a movie, but they also want to ensure their safety. Because I strongly believe fire safety matters, and it matters a lot. If you observe all these fire safety rules and all the measures, you can say it goes a long way to saving human lives, and you cannot compromise on human lives just because you want to earn a few extra bucks, you want to fill in the coffers. So I think people are realizing that, which is a good sign. So we do hope that there will be some changes, and at some stage, the government can be forced to change the laws, whichever government comes in, because it's the need of the hour.
Yes, it's the basic requirement, basically.
Yes, because other countries, it's it's mandatory having fire safety measures. There's no choice about it.
Yeah.
But people, compromise on it. They want to cut corners and save money. So it actually comes down to your greed. You cannot cut corners at the cost of human lives. That's what I strongly feel.
Absolutely. Agree. So based on that, ma'am raised a good point. Like now we have social media, right? And our generation, even our parents, they are like hugely addicted to WhatsApp and all of that.
Right.
With your association and the advent of social media, and as ma'am said, we all have seen the documentary on Netflix. Has this kind of changed the perception, or as ma'am said, people are becoming more vigilant that, oh, this is not safe, we need to raise our voice? Have you seen that?
Yes, of course, yes. People are becoming very aware especially after Trial by Fire, the series, and especially the younger generation. And people have now started demanding fire safety. When they go to the cinema hall, like she rightly said, that they go and ask questions to the manager or the gatekeeper, why this is not working, why the exit light is not burning, why you have not put on the footlights. So many, because don't forget that when you're sitting in a cinema hall, it's complete darkness for 3 hours. And everybody doesn't know you don't go to the cinema hall every day. You don't know the topography of the cinema hall. So you have to depend on those lights, or the torchman or the gatekeeper were there to help you. That's what did not happen in Uphaar. So we don't want what happened 97, 28 years back has to continue now.
Right.
So, and one more thing I'll add is that in Uphaar Cinema, I don't know whether you're aware or not, that 23 children who died world over. Atrocities against children, or children dying due to this man-made disaster, are taken very seriously.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying, that a lot of changes, not only in this kind of fire thing, even in the legal fraternity, there has to be changes. The mindset has to change. People have to realize it's not me, and it's not only my and Neelam's kids. Everybody goes to cinema hall. Everybody goes to the mall. People should start demanding fire safety, and government should be a part of the government's agenda, that yes, fire safety is an important issue.
True, agreed.
That's what we are trying to bring in for the last 28 years. Yes, something little has happened, but lot to be done. And because, like I told you, we are a small group of people. We are a very small group of people who are working in.
And I agree, so it's not only with it's obviously with the movie hall because it's dark, but any closed space.
All public spaces. All public spaces.
Yes.
All public spaces.
There has to be
a commercial building, or be it a mall, all commercial places. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the next thing that I want to ask is on a more personal level as parents, right? So I'm so sorry, but I have to say that what you've gone through, no parent should have to go through that. It was unfortunate, it was tragic. On a daily level, sir, ma'am, how do you take care of your mental health? And what would you advise other parents to kind of, add as your strength? What gives you that strength to keep going on? Ma'am, you first.
So this was a major challenge, and I'm not an expert. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist who can actually help people. So actually, maybe I can just share
Yes.
what we've gone through, and it's for people to decide, because grief affects people differently, and everybody reacts differently to it. So it's for them to choose what they feel like doing. There are some people who have a good this support system around them. In fact, people who are staying abroad are more fortunate that they have the support system. You have these groups, but we don't have any of those support system in India. There are no groups where if like abroad I did, you have this compassionate friends which is based in UK, and we really don't have that in India. The only thing we just can only rely on the family, and if you're fortunate to have your friends who will stand by you at the time of crisis. But to be very honest, I have said very openly that me and Shekhar were very unfortunate that none of our friends stood by us. They all shied away for reasons best known to them. Probably they didn't know what
How to handle grief.
say to us, how to handle grief. And even if you consider, I mean, we were a family where Shekhar, 5 siblings, even my side, 5 siblings, and we both of us being the youngest. And I think we were just fortunate that my elder sister stood by me. So we were just left to fend for ourselves. All that we had was each other and nobody else. And we had each other's shoulder to cry on, and we realized that if we have to go on, it was important that both of us talk about it.
Yes.
Because it's very important to talk about your grief. But I couldn't speak to anyone else, because this was that I don't think if anybody's really going to understand, because unless they've known my children, they wouldn't even understand. And how many people were really willing to listen to me, I don't know. I was quite sure, since they were not there to stand by me in the time of crisis, why would the stranger sit and listen to me? So we decided that we will not talk about it in front of others, and we'll just talk about the children among ourselves. We've kept the children's room the way it was, and the things are with us. We talk about the happy times that we've shared with our children. I think the memories are the only thing that's actually kept us going. We go and spend some time in the room, and if we've been able to go through such a long legal battle, it's only because we get all the strength from our children. Because there's a promise that we made to Unnati and Ujjwal when they died, that no matter what, we're going to get justice for both of you. So we continue doing that. We take each day as it comes. We don't plan for the future, because unfortunately we've lived 28 years after our children. Because by the one thing I will really say is, and I always feel that no parent should actually outlive their children. That's the worst thing for any parent.
Indeed.
It's very difficult. You can cope with other bereavement, like I lost my father, he lost his father. So we could, overcome it, because, I had my children that I was looking forward to. I had to bring them up. There are other challenges. But once your children leave you and go, there is nothing you can actually think of. You can't plan. And what is there to plan? Actually, there's nothing to plan. People say that, you'll probably get a closure. But I very strongly, my personal this is that closure is just a myth.
Agreed.
It's an absolute myth. There can never be a closure.
Yes.
So I strongly feel that, grief never evaporates. It waxes and wanes.
Yes.
But it doesn't
It stays with you, ma'am, for the rest of
It stays with you for the rest of your life till the last day we live.
Yes.
It'll stay with us, and it actually grows worse day. But as you grow older, it goes worse, because when you are grieving, you are after the loss of your children, you are depressed, you're angry, you're frustrated, you're lonely, you're sad. And these emotions never go down.
Yeah.
They keep having, one day you are sad, the next day you're lonely, the next day you're angry. And they stay there, I don't know. I've had different emotions, but the only thing that kept me going was that, yes, I have to get justice. So no matter how low I was, I would still pull up myself. Both of us will pull up ourselves. We'll go to the court and then come back again, and then we're back to, but yes, if we have a challenging day, next day is a hearing, we'll sit late at night and make our notes, sit and read the documents. But I think I would still say that people deal with grief differently.
Absolutely.
There's no one formula that you can just do this. It only, because people say time would heal. No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. Ma'am, I
It stays with you. It's a permanent
It
fixture
is.
in your life.
And I also completely agree when you said that we don't get closure. Is I don't know why people say that, but nothing comes close when you are.
We will talk about judicial closure, that also you not got. We will not
At
get a
least if we
closure.
can
but,
get justice.
Justice, but that also is.
That's the only thing we ask for. We're not asking for the moon.
True.
And that too, when the Supreme Court itself says, yes, they are guilty. Either the Supreme Court should have said, no, they're not guilty. And, so now it is okay, this was a mother's imagination, as parents' imagination, we thought that they're responsible. Either they should have said that when you're convicting a person beyond reasonable doubt, and then you say, okay, now you're old, you can walk out free. I mean, that's just not done. You're giving them 2 years sentence, but you still allow them to walk free. And they say, okay, because you're old now, what you can do is pay 30 crore each, that is about 60 crore rupees as fine to the Delhi government for bringing in, now I'm talking about another trauma center, to bring in a trauma center. Now, I want to know how do you justify such a thing? I mean, it is the Delhi government, the government officials who were in cahoot with the owners. So in a way, you are actually rewarding the Delhi government by giving them that, 60 crore rupees for coming up with the trauma center. Is anyway the responsibility of the government to put up trauma center. You don't want people to die, and then, you'll allow them, encourage them to come up with such illegal structures and say, okay, doesn't matter, but now here's the money, please put a trauma center. And of course, to be very honest, let me share with you, even the trauma center still not come up. The government has got funds for the last 10 years, which will probably double the amount what it was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this kind of a judicial closure is unheard of any part of the world.
Ma'am, you're fighting for closure on both ends, emotional and judicial.
Emotional, I know. There can never be emotional closure. A judicial closure, yes.
Yes.
But let them at least give me justice. I mean, after I'm staying, they had a right to life. My children had a right. I have a right to justice. That's the only reason, I went to the courts. Or, like I said, the day the judges allowed them to walk free, I came out and made a statement that had I known that, this is the kind of justice that's going to be delivered, I should have picked up a gun and shot those people. At least I would have, had the satisfaction that, yes, I have got justice for my children. I wouldn't have wasted 20 years in the court, running from one court to another, attending one hearing and another one and another one. Like here we say one date after another. It's called in Hindi, we say tarik pe tarik, tarik pe tarik. But, then what was it that I got in the end? Nothing. I just want justice. I don't want anything else. At least I'll have the consolation of dying peacefully. Yes, I fought and I kept up my promise, because I strongly believe you don't stop being parents if your children have died. You continue to being parents. And had my children been alive, I would have done anything for them. This is the least I can do for them, at least to get justice for them. It's my responsibility. It's my duty as a parent.
Absolutely.
So I feel I've failed, with the system. I didn't know it's going to be so bad. For me, it was like, I thought, yes, if something wrong is being done and you go to the courts, you prove it beyond reasonable doubt. And yes, the guilty would be punished. I didn't know they're going to differentiate, Okay, these are rich and powerful people. These are ordinary people. These are children of lesser God. It doesn't matter. They can die. But the rich people should be sent behind bars because, they have a big name. Even while granting a bail order, one of the judges has written, Oh, where are they going to go? They have a whole lot of hoardings and everything displayed all over. They're such big builders because I don't know if you know, the owners were the biggest builders in India in 1997. Ansals. I mean, there was the biggest, not just in India, all over the Asia. So everybody and anybody knew them. So there was so much of soft corner for these people. I mean, like they can do no wrong. But then when it's proved that yes, they have done wrong, and yet you let them walk free because they're answers. That's what hit me a lot.
Understand. So coming to you, it's often said in our society that, men are strong. Men can't express their emotions. When this happened, as a parent, how did you cope up and how do you take care? As ma'am mentioned, that you walk into their room and you talk to each other. How do you basically cope up with the grief?
The emotions are the same, like as far as you can say. But yes, as a mother, the emotions are quite high and different. But only one thing, because of my work, you read in my bio also, there's a lot of traveling in my business. So when this tragedy happened, I asked only Neelam one thing: what do we do? She said, "I want to fight." So I'm with you. One line: I'm with you. After all, they were my children. They were not, like people said, "Oh, you're still young. Why don't you have another family?" I said, "My children are not toys.
Yes.
That they're broken, I go to market, buy new toys and bring." No, sorry. So it was a very conscious decision taken by me that I'm with you and I'll stay with you till we are alive and get justice for our children. But honestly, even me and Neelam did not realize that a case like this is going to take 28 years. We're still fighting. But we have not given up. We've not given up. We're still fighting. We're still fighting. We're still in courts. So that's the only problem in this country, that, people don't realize that going to courts, people say, "Pehle zamane mein hota tha ki aap hum court mein dekhenge." It's not, like today's date, it is different or totally different. We have seen the difference from 1970 to 2024. How the attitudes have changed. How the judiciary, all like departments, legal departments have changed totally. We've seen that. We know, because between me and Neelam, we have not missed a single court date. But what happens, I don't know, because, like at single court, like system we are following, it is the state which fights for us. Now imagine a public prosecutor facing a person like Ramjet Malani or top people, topmost in the country. So we had to be there in the court and assist the prosecutor. Fortunately, we had two, like good names like Mr. Tulsi and Mr. Salve appearing for CBI and Tulsi appearing for us. And me and Neelam had to do so much of, studying. We didn't know anything. We didn't know how the transformer functions, what are the laws. We had to read each and every book. We had to read the statements of people, the eyewitness account. Everything, we have to really work very hard. And that should not be a situation where the state takes a responsibility that, yes, we will look after the interest. They have to do diligently. They just can't take, for one public prosecutor comes to the court and he has 50 cases. What is going to, how are you going to justice? What conviction is going to have for the case? So that's why we realized it initially. That's what Neelam and me decided, no, we have to study. There were 50,000 pages of documents. Can you imagine? 50,000 pages of documents. And we had to read everything. We met a transformer, a person who was expert in a transformer. We met a architect to understand the site plans. We had to work very hard. And how many people can do it? I'm sorry. And we expected that ours was the first man-made disaster case to reach the Supreme Court. We expected Supreme Court to come heavily on them so that it will become a deterrent effect in the society. But that did not happen. These are the basic things one expects from the judiciary, which we were denied of. And today also we are saying, there is no judicial closure. We still say, what is this nonsense? That, who's responsible for the delay? If the case is taken 20 years, it is not the association which asks for the adjournment. It is the defense. It is the other party which is asking for adjournments after adjournment, which court, very magnanimously they allow. Then they say, oh, he's gone old. Why is he gone old? Because you are delaying the case, not us.
Yeah.
Who's responsible? It is the judiciary. So that people have to understand. That's why we've written a book also. Now we are in the process of writing a second book.
Okay.
So, like we are trying to do our best, but like I told you, we are a small group of people. Basically, it is me and Neelam who are in the forefront. And we have brought the thing till here. Now, everybody knows what the associations are. Initially, they thought, it's all just happening for money. Like people are just getting together to make money. No. We made very clear this case is not for money.
It's just for justice.
We had to really work very hard. Now, people don't realize that, how difficult it is to get justice. I'm going to say so-called justice. It is basically judgment which court gives. It's not justice. Yeah. At the end of the day, it is a judgment given by the Supreme Court. It is not justice. That's the thing.
I'm just mindful of time, ma'am and sir, but this was I'm actually at a loss of words because what you've gone through, and when I realized I was 10 years old when this happened in Delhi. So but what I realize is we need to keep having these conversations periodically so that you get what you've been fighting so long for. You deserve it. Your children deserve it, and all those other people who unfortunately lost their time. But ma'am, sir, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you so much for having us.
I can't thank you. It's my honor, sir. Please don't thank me. It's all my honor. And I really hope that you get what you're seeking sooner rather than later. And thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you, sir, for joining me tonight. Thank you so much.